Recording in progress.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Good morning. It's a pleasure that we regather here on internet to talk about positive psychology in this global online courses series. And today we're going to talk about altruism. And this word, it's not a frequently used word. So let me explain. It actually means helping others. Your mind or your behavior to be kind to others and help other people. And we're going to cover 3 topics. The first one is, do good things happen to good people? Because there is a Chinese saying, which is 好人没好报, which means good people don't get good things happen to them. But we will look at how science say about the relationship between good things and good people. And secondly, actually, we will see that good things do happen to good people. Then we will ask why good things happen to good people. And finally, how can we have more good things to happen to good people? Sometimes, yeah, good people do not get that many good things. We need to figure out ways to help good people. Okay, so we're going to talk about science behind all this, not just philosophical sayings, but the science behind all these statements. First, let me start with a story. It's a story told by Chris Peterson. As we know, Chris Peterson was one of the founders of positive psychology, and one of his major achievements was his work together with Martin Seligman to develop the system of character strengths and virtues, as we can see from this figure, from this chart. You can see all the 24 character strengths. And one day he was invited to West Point, as we know, the military academy of US Army. So the students there are actually not ordinary students. After they graduate, they are going to become officers in the US Army. So West Point is actually considered one of the most prestigious universities or colleges in the United States. Just like in any other places, one of the first things Chris Peterson did was to give them a survey so that he can see what are the character strengths of those students, and the students can see what are their character strengths. And after the survey, Chris Peterson analyzed the data and found something he was very surprised, that there was actually one strength that almost every student in West Point have in common as one of their top strengths. And now I'd like to ask you to guess, what is that strength? You can post in the chat area. What do you think is the most common strength of West Point students? Can you see my message in the chat area? Looks like it's pretty early and no one is replying. Love, huh? Okay, so many people are sending me private messages because I just sent one message, and but you actually need to send to everyone. And Shadab Abdullah said leadership. Cao Tian said bravery, and a lot of people said bravery, humanity, leadership, kindness, happiness. By the way, happiness is not a character strength. Teamwork, services, self-regulation. Good, but actually, you are just like us. So when Peterson gave the lecture to us in the University of Pennsylvania, he mentioned that, and he asked us to guess, and we did all the guesses just like you guys did. And eventually, just like Wen Jiehe and Fu Ling said it's actually love. So love is the most common strength of the West Point cadet students. And we were very surprised. And actually, Chris Peterson was surprised at that time too. He was like, hey, you guys are strange. You are, cadets. You are going to be Army officers. And I found that the most common strength of you guys is love. And this really annoyed those students. One of them rose up and said, sir, did you ever watch Band of Brothers? You know the Band of Brothers? This is a TV series in the early 21st century. I think it's 2005 or 2001, something like that. It's about a group of US military people fighting in the European battleground during the Second World War. But it's not called band of, for example, band of fighting or band of sacrifice or band of killing, right? It's called Band of Brothers because that TV series is actually focusing on how those officers and soldiers are together, a band of brothers, their brotherhood, their love, their banding, the bonding between them, rather than how to kill the Nazis. So this is the key thing, actually, in even the military machine, that actually love is the most important strength for you to flourish, and not to mention any other organizations. So this was really one of the greatest stories I heard from Chris Peterson, that actually love is one of the most important things, even among the West Point cadet students. So actually, when Chris Peterson later gave a lecture to the public about positive psychology, after he gave that lecture for like 1 hour, and everyone was impressed, they stood up and gave him a applause. And then one old lady raised her hand and asked a question like, Professor, you did a spectacular speech, but it's too difficult, too complicated for me. Can you just describe positive psychology in 3 words so that I can understand? And Peterson took the challenge and thought about it and gave his answer in 3 words about positive psychology. That is, other people matter. And this is what Kai Ping actually mentioned in the first class. So Peterson summarized positive psychology in 3 words: other people matter. And we actually talked about this before, that relationship, the interpersonal relationship, is the most important exterior factor of a person's well-being. So this is why Peterson said other people matter. And it's supported by a bunch of research. For example, we are already familiar with Ed Diener, Dr. Happiness. And he did a research with Marty Seligman, the founder of positive psychology. It's called Very Happy People. The article of their research is called Very Happy People. And it's published on Psychological Science. And the key question they asked is, who are these very happy people? What do very happy people have in common? It turns out, okay, very happy people can be very different. They can be rich, they can be poor, they can be well-educated, they can be illiterate, they can be men, they can be women, they can be, white or black or Asian. And so there are very different factors about those very happy people, but they do have one thing, and that's the only one thing in common. That is, very happy people have very good relationships with other people. For example, let's look at this chart. They measured the happiness of unhappy people and average people, and also very happy people. They measured their interpersonal relationship. As we can see, no matter whether it's friendship or their family relationship, the relationship with their parents, their kids, their spouse, or their love, the romantic love, or the other people's evaluation to them, or the time they spent with others, it's always happy people, represented by the yellow color here, is higher than the red column, and then the red one is higher than the purple one. So as we can see, happy people, very happy people, have better relationship in friendship, in family, in romantic love, and people like them more, give them higher evaluations, and they spend more time with other people. The only thing that's reversed is time alone. Happy people spend least time alone, and unhappy people spend the most time alone. So as we can see, relationship is the one thing that mark happiness. So very happy people do have one thing in common. They have very good relationships with other people. And there are many other research about this. For example, people may ask, okay, maybe this research only works for the extroverts, people who love to hang around with other people. How about introverts? But actually, research showed that even for introverts, they are happier when they're with other people. We may imagine, okay, they are stressed, they don't feel good, but actually, no, they feel well after they hang around with other people. So other people matter. And there are a bunch of research, not only just like this. This is a correlational study. There are also causation relationships among relationship between other people and your happiness. For example, the topic of tonight, altruism, helping other people do make people happier. This is research done by the Harvard Medical School on patients with multiple sclerosis. Let's call it MS. We don't need to go to detail about this disease. Anyway, this is a disease which the nerve damage disrupts communication between the brain and the body, so that you can lose control of your body. For example, you lose your vision, you have pain, you have fatigue, and impaired coordination. And the worst thing about it is that it's non-curable. So far, human beings have not found the medication or any solution for this MS disease. The only thing the patients can have is to have some training or coping techniques to kind of reduce the symptoms, but the disease itself is not curable. So it's quite a desperate situation for these patients. And what can they do? So Harvard Medical School, they developed a study trying to help those patients. They try to see whether a peer support intervention can help the patients. So they designed a study. Okay, they randomly assigned the group of patients into two groups. The first one is the peer support group, in which they will receive a phone call from another peer patient. So another patient who also has MS. And they got this phone call, they chat, to talk about their disease and give themselves some support. And group two is group counseling on disease coping. So it teaches you a bunch of techniques on how to cope with the MS disease. For example, what do you do when there's too much pain, and how to be mindful, etc. And since there's a group one, peer support group, there has to be a group of people. Those are also MS patients. They have to call the other, those peer patients. And since they are patients themselves, so it's not a big workload. They only need to call 5 to 15 peers each month, and 15 minutes each time. So it's not a big deal. It's like, 1 to 3 hours per month. So this is not a huge burden. And what do they need to do? They need to listen actively and provide compassionate and unconditional positive regard to others. That's it. They are not doctors. They cannot provide professional suggestions. They just listen and talk with empathy. After all, they both have MS disease. So The original design of this study is to investigate the effectiveness of peer support intervention. And as we can see, that is represented by the yellow bars in this chart, and the coping is the blue bar. But as we can see, there's no much difference. There are, in some dimensions, the support group works better. In some dimensions, it's the coping group. So did the research fail? The first author, Caroline Schwartz, actually felt quite desperate after she saw the results until her co-author, Sander, told her, why don't you look at the data of group 3? I know they are not randomly assigned, so it's not a rigorous study, but the data is worth looking. And she looked at it and she was really surprised. As we can see here, this is the data after even 2 years later. Pretty much all the negative dimensions, for example, fatigue or depression, anxiety, the green part, the green bar, which is the supporting others people, they are much more negative than the other two groups, which means they have much less fatigue and depression and anxiety. And for all the positive dimensions, for example, efficacy or autonomy, life satisfaction, sense of control, personal growth, sense of purpose in your life, and self-acceptance, all this, the supporting other group is much, much higher than other two groups. So that's the conclusion that's written in the title of the article, Helping Others, Help Oneself. If you help others, actually, you get much more benefit from this behavior than those who receive your help. So this is a really impressive study. And as we can see here, they grouped all these dimensions together into 3 big indicators: adaptability, how you adapt to the disease; role performance, how you feel your role is, for example, your self-confidence, your self-acceptance; and finally, well-being. As we can see, the solid line, which is the peer supporters, are much, much higher than the other two groups in all these 3 dimensions. So this really proved that if you help other people, you will get much more benefit than those who are helped by you. So helping others is actually a medication. It really decreases your ill-being and increases your well-being. And why? So this is a science. We got a bunch of evidence, but of benefit of altruism. But why? There's a book called The Hidden Gifts of Helping, written by one of my favorite authors, Stephen Post. By the way, he also wrote a book called this title, Why Good Things Happen to Good People. That's why I use this title. And he summarized the 4 major benefits of helping other people. First of all, confidence. Because when you help others, that means you have efficacy, right? That means you can help other people. That means you are able to do something. You are able to change the world. For example, this is a part of the interview of one of the supporters. And when he did all those work, just call other people. And he said, I feel very secure about my future, not medically, because which means MS, can come back anytime. I'm not cured. There's no cure for MS, but I really feel like I'm able to handle whatever comes my way, because he is helping other people. And he feels that, okay, I actually can do something. I can change the world. So this increases his confidence and sense of efficacy. And secondly, when you help other people, you care less about yourself. Because, one of the problems of depression is that we ruminate. We just keep ruminating about all the negative thoughts about me. Oh, I'm miserable. I'm bad. I'm deplorable, I'm so such a loser, etc., and I cannot change the world. But actually, if you go around and look at the world, there are so many people who is even worse than you, who are also miserable, and you are not special in the suffering. Everyone suffers, right? So if you care for other people, you ruminate less about yourself and you think about other people. You change your perspective. So, for example, this is an excerpt from one of the supporters, and this person said, there's a comfort in just listening to someone. And instead of formulating something in your own mind, you start concentrating on what you think that person is feeling. So you no longer just, this pathetic kind of self-centered rumination stopped. And the third one is better emotions. Helping other people creates positive emotion and reduces negative emotion. For example, this person said, it's tough to get depressed because you are helping someone else. And actually, there's a story from Stephen Post, the author of this book, The Hidden Gifts of Helping, and also the author of the book, Why Good Things Happen to Good People. When he was a boy, whenever he didn't feel well, guess what his mom said to him? She would say, hey, Steve, you didn't look well today. Why don't you go outside and help other people? And then Steve went out and he may help other people to fix their chimneys or clean the leaves on the street, etc. When he did all these good deeds, he started to feel better. So this is why altruism is often recommended by counselors and psychological doctors. And finally, and probably the most importantly, helping other people brings you meaning in your life. For example, this person said, I could still feel valuable because I could give something. I have something to give, right? So his life is not meaningless. His life has a power, a purpose, and value. And the most impressive one is what this person said. It's not just that you have MS, it's that you have MS and you can help other people with MS. This is really a change of perspective, because before that intervention, I guess this person feels miserable. Oh, I'm so unhappy. I'm so unfortunate, unlucky to have MS. Why me? Why God punishes me, right? But after he did this, he was like, oh, there's a purpose for I having MS, so that I can help other people. So actually, this is a grace from the God that he let me have MS to serve a bigger purpose. This is really a great change of perspective. So he changed the fact of a thing that most people would consider as bad into a good thing. This is really brings huge meaning into this person's life. So that's why helping other people actually brings you so much well-being. And this can be explained also in evolutionary psychology, because we may ask, so why? Why helping other people will make us feel better, better emotions, and bring us meaning and self-efficacy, confidence, and also, stop rumination and care about other people? Because altruism is adaptative. This is a theory called reciprocal altruism. And this was proposed by Harvard psychologist Robert Trivers. He proposed the theory of reciprocal altruism. And we know that reciprocal means, we do something that benefits each other. So Trivers proposed that in the ancient time, during the human evolution, when our ancestors tend to help other people, then it's more likely that this person is helped by other people. Then both of them get benefited, right? Because survival was very difficult at that time. If you got friends, if you got help from other people, when you help others, when you form a group, then it's easier for you to survive. And that means it's an evolutionary advantage for altruism. So altruism is not mysterious, because Darwin actually was confused about altruism. And he wrote that I cannot see why people evolved to be altruistic. Why would people help others? This is bad for you. So he concluded that there must be morality first. That, okay, some people were born more moral, or there are moral rules in the world enforced by the society, so that we had to help other people. But Trevor said, no, actually, it's pretty easy. Altruism is adaptive, which means if you are altruistic, then you can survive. So that's how morality itself evolved. If you are moral, if you are kind, if you are helping other people, then you and your genes can spread wider, which means your offsprings are more likely to survive. So their genes are more moral too. And that's how morality got engraved into our DNA. So this is a beautiful proof of why human race is actually a moral race. And this actually can help us to clarify the philosophical disputes. For example, the two famous Chinese Confucianists, Mencius and Xunzi, they quarreled about whether the essence of human race, good or evil. Mencius said, okay, the human race is in essence good, and people were born to be able to help other people. And if he gave an example, like if we see a child fall into a well, then the instinct is to help this child. It's not because we try to get benefit from this deed. We try to get praise from the your neighbors. It's your human nature to rescue this child. But Xunzi said, no, you are wrong. People are born bad, evil. Just look at the kids. They do all the bad things. Why they behave good? That's because it's forced by the society or taught by their teachers, so that they are brainwashed to be well. They're brainwashed to be good people. But actually, in the essence, they're bad, they're evil. Who is right? Well, we don't know. They quarreled for like 2,000 years, right? There's no conclusion, but science can prove that actually Mencius is correct. We do have a natural born inclination to help other people. Here is an example. This is research done by German psychologists in Max Planck Institute. And what he did was to bring a bunch of toddlers, the kids who can barely walk, into his lab. And he created different scenarios where he needs other people to help. And he tries to see whether those toddlers would help him. Let's look at the videos of his experiment.
Oh. Oh. So. Oh. Oh. Oh.
Okay, so we can see that these toddlers, they are not forced by the society, right? And they are not brainwashed by the society yet. So, but they can still kind of intuitively help other people. Shanab said these are not ordinary toddlers. Well, these are ordinary toddlers. They're just kind of just like other kids. So the key thing is they were not taught by anyone, and they are not hinted by anyone, right? Their parents didn't ask them to do this, but when they see other people need help, they just go there. And this German psychologist actually did other experiments, like if he intentionally drops something in front of these kids, then these kids would not help. Or if he didn't signal the kids that he needs help, those kids would not help either. As we can see in all these 4 examples, he was like, oh, I was carelessly dropping something, or oh, I happen to need this help and please help me, right? He signaled these kids, and those kids can read the signal of other people asking for help and help them intuitively. So this is, an evidence of human babies are kind of born with the inclination to help other people. If you are still not convinced, this psychologist also did another experiment, or a series of experiments, with a close relative of a human race, chimpanzees. Let's see whether chimpanzees can help other people. So as we can see, chimpanzees, they are definitely impossible to be taught or forced by the human race to help other people, right? But they can still understand other people's signal of needing help, and they would help the other people. So that means human race is born with goodness, born with altruism to help other people. And of course, this can be observed by the brain science. So scientists put a bunch of participants into the fMRI machine and scan their brains to see which areas are activated during some experiments. So they did 2 things. For some of the participants, they give them money, and this money is given to them so that they can have this money. And we can see the yellow part is when this area in their brains got activated. And then another group of participants, the scientists give them money and ask them to donate that money to instruct what charity they want this money to be donated to. And as we can see, the blue area is activated, and the green area is the overlap between these two groups. As we can see, those areas are very close to each other, and there's huge overlap between them. So which means when you help other people, you get huge reward as if you got the money, you got the help yourself. So when we help other people, this is what some English saying, help us high. So when you help other people, you feel high, you feel very nice, because when you help other people, your brain will produce dopamine, and that makes you feel very good. Okay, so then there's a bunch of research about, good things happen to good people, of course. For example, we just give 2 examples, 2 longitudinal studies, so that it's more than correlational. A longitudinal study done by Berkeley University, it just it lasted 60 years from 1930s to 1960s. It followed 200 participants and found that the adolescents in 1930s, that was a long time ago, who tended to help other people, they would become more successful in their later life, in their adult life, and they have better relationships with their family members, better lifestyle and habits. For example, they exercise more, they eat less junk food, and they see doctors regularly, etc. And they have stronger social competitiveness, which means they, well, make more money, and they have a better social network, etc. So that means if a adolescent at his, maybe teenager, when he or she was more likely to help other people at that time, then he or she are more likely to succeed in the future. And also that's young people. And also for old people, there's another 5-year longitudinal study. It followed 2,000 elders, and they found that how much they can reduce their mortality rate. And they found that if you exercise 4 times a week, then you reduce the mortality rate by 30%. If you have religious activity, you go to church regularly, etc., it reduces 20%. If you quit smoking, that's great. You got almost 50%. But if you do 1 volunteerism per week, which means you volunteer for your community, for charity, just once a week, that's it. And that reduces 40%, more than 40% of mortality rate, the possibility of you are dying during this period. And if you do 2 volunteerisms, which means you volunteer twice for charity, for community, for other people, then it reduces more than 60% of your mortality rates. This is great. This is like, your chance of dying is cut almost to 2/3 if you just help other people twice a week. That's really something. So this really shows the power of altruism. So that's why Caroline Schwartz, the author of that Harvard Medical School study of MS disease, when she was asked by Burns, when Dr. Burns was editing a book called Happiness, Healing, and Enhancement. Basically, this is a casebook collection for applying positive psychology in therapy. And they asked Dr. Schwartz to write 1 chapter. And what did she write? She wrote the therapy of helping other people, because she saw the power of helping other people to the to sick people, to people with diseases. So she knew that this could help. And her case was like this. There was a farmer in Australia called Brian Egan, and he was very unlucky that year because there was a huge drought in Australia that year. So he got bankrupt. He went broke, and he had a lot of fights with his wife. So eventually his wife ran away with his kids and his dogs. So he became, nothing. He has nothing and no family and no money. So he tried to kill himself, but failed. Then he went to see psychologists, the counselors, and counselors, after talk to them and give him a piece of suggestion saying, hey, Brian, maybe you can try help other people. Brian was like, are you kidding me? I'm so miserable. I'm so poor. Who can be more miserable and poorer than me? Who can I help? And the counselor said, well, try to find someone that you can help. I'm sure you can. So he went out and he saw, there are some homeless people in the town, because he lives in the farm. And when he went to see the counselors, they are in the town. And he saw, there are some homeless people. And he helped those homeless people by, offering them, hey, why don't you come to my farm to work? I cannot give you money, but at least I can give you food and shelter. The homeless people were like, that's a good deal. Let's go. So they went to his farm and helped him. And that's actually not very good for Brian too, right? Because that saves him money. He got kind of free labor. And so he also introduced more homeless people to the other farmers who were also in deep trouble at that time. And this kind of business went very well. And he found meaning and passion in helping these people. So instead of continue running his farm, he founded an organization called the Aussie Helpers. Aussie is a nickname for Australians. So this means, you know, we are helpers in Australia. And he helped a lot of people. And he didn't become richer. His farm didn't become, you know, more prosperous, but he had much higher subjective well-being. He became much happier and much more meaning in his life that his wife went back with his kids and dogs. And his wife said, oh, that's not because Brian became richer. He didn't. He was still the same money, but he changed. He was not the same person. He became more energetic and meaning and such a kind person than I ever know. So that's why she came back. And this is how helping other people can change a person. So as we can see, this is huge benefit of helping other people, not only just you know, the science, the evidence, the data, but bunch of stories. So we got to help other people, right? And as described by Adam Grant, the youngest tenure professor in the Wharton Business School, he wrote a book called The Give and Take. So in this book, he divided people into 3 groups. The first one is called givers, you know, those who give to other people, help other people. The second group is takers, who take from other people, who take advantage of other people. And the third category is matchers, who, you know, I'm not going to take things from you, but I'm not going to give things to you either. I match. If you help me, I will help you. If you hurt me, I'll fight back. So these are the, you know, tick for tack people. He asked this question. So who are the most likely to succeed in Korea? Can you guys vote in the chat area? Is that A, givers, B, takers, or C, matchers? Please say A or B or C in the chat area. Yeah, I can see 3 people said A. Great. That means you are really listening to this class. You really see the advantage and the benefit of helping other people. And you are right. Givers are most likely to succeed because first, as analyzed by Adam Grant, givers can set up a wider and more reliable network because people trust them. And most of the network are actually consisting of weak connections. And as we know, weak connections are actually more useful in business. And we know that takers, you know, they may manage their interpersonal relationship, the network, very carefully. But people are not stupid. People can see that these people are takers, and those few important network cannot help them further. And secondly, givers collaborate better with other people. Obviously, other people, you know, are more likely to work together with givers. And the givers facilitate development of other people. So their team member, their people who report to givers, etc., are more likely to grow, are more likely to develop their own strengths because giver can see other people's strengths, while, you know, takers are more likely to criticize other people, even suppress other people. So if you are facilitating other people around you, then of course it's more likely for you to succeed. And finally, givers do influence other people. People would think, oh, givers are soft. They don't have much sense of authority. That's true. But givers influence other people by using morality, by setting a model by, you know, by charisma and the sense of belonging and connection. So people are willing to be led by givers. So that's why givers are more likely to succeed. But here's another question then. Who are the most likely to fail in Korea? And 3 choices, please write in the chat area. Who do you think are most likely to fail in Korea? A, givers, B, takers, C, matchers. And I can see bunch of B, 1 person said C, and most of you said B, 1 person said C. Okay, most of you said B. Thank you, because you listened to the course very carefully, but actually the answer is very surprising. It's A, and no one said A. It's also givers who are most likely to fail in Korea. So it's like this. Takers and matchers are in the middle, and both the leaders, the great people, and the most miserable people are givers. And the statistics shows that givers, compared with the takers, they make money 15% less than takers, and twice likely to be hurt by criminals and to be taken advantage of, and to be, well, what in Chinese people would say PUA'd, which means manipulated by other people. And they are 22% worse in authority evaluation when it's evaluated by other people. And that's because givers are reluctant to protest against the transgression. When other people take advantage of them, they're like, oh, okay, maybe it happens. Okay, I'll let you take advantage of me. Well, maybe this person needs help. And they're hesitant to defend their own interests. So givers have to learn ways to give. They cannot just give universally. For example, if that guy is a taker, do not help this person because he or she may take advantage of you. And if sometimes you need help, you need these resources yourself, your family needs to be fed, and you are giving this precious bread to other people. This may not make sense because the other people might be a taker. They may never pay you back. So givers needs to be more wise, smarter. Then they will succeed. Otherwise, they are actually more likely to fail. So here are the tips at the end of this course. I'm giving lectures. So here are 4 tips that I'd like to give to you. First, you can start from helping other people around you, which means you don't need to just help strangers. Sometimes we may think, okay, what's altruism? What's helping other people? Oh, you help strangers. There are some famous stories that, people help other strangers, etc. But actually, you can start helping other people around you. This is how altruism evolved in human race, right? If we look at this picture, our ancestors, they're helping each other. They're helping people in the same village. They're helping their neighbors, because the neighbors, the family members, people around you are most likely to pay you back. A stranger, they may never pay you back. I'm not saying you should not help strangers, but it's safer to help people around you, because in nowadays there's sometimes even danger, there are risks helping strangers. So you can start from helping people around you, but later, of course, you're welcome to help more people. And secondly, you can start from small altruistic actions. This is what I got from kids helping. I searched the kids helping in Google, and these are the 3 first pictures that popped out. And we can see it's small things, right? When we think about kids helping, it's not like big things. This kid, the first kid is, help tightening his friend's shoelace. And the second kid is trying to help his friend to stand up. The third kid is helping his mom to clean up the room. That's it. You don't need to do huge things. You don't have to donate tons of money or save the people. It's unlikely unlikely to happen every day anyway. So just do small good things. That's good enough. Don't try to do big things in the very beginning. And thirdly, remember, emotional support is helping too. So for example, when your friend is in trouble, you don't have to like, okay, let me buy you a present. Let me give you a gift, right? Or, oh, let me treat you a meal. Let me buy you some ice cream. You may feel better. Just emotional support is good. Just listen to this person. Listen to your friend with empathy. That's more comforting than any material support. And nowadays, we are not in a shortage of materials. We're in a shortage of emotion, of time, of empathy. So if you give emotional support, sometimes it actually means more than the so-called the real support. We're psychologists. We believe that emotional and psychological support is actually more important than material support, unless this person is in the trouble of huge, material need. So just by saying, hey, I understand you. I was there too. I can feel your pain. Oh, just talk. I'm listening. That's good enough. That's helping. You don't have to use money or things to help. Use your heart is help too. And finally, you can start from things that benefit both of you. And this is what the word, reciprocal means. When you help other people help you. It's not like it's one directional. It can be bi-directional. After all, this is how altruism evolved from human race. So now let's do an exercise. This is a very interesting and one of my favorite exercise in positive psychology called the Reciprocal Ring, which means we help each other. How to do that? We will divide every 4 people into a group. And in each group, you can take turn to tell others one of your wishes or challenges you face now. For example, oh, I want to lose weight. Oh, I want to learn psychology. Or, oh, I want to make a lot of money, whatever, one of your wishes or challenges you face now. And then other people can try to help. It can be direct help. For example, oh, you want to learn psychology? I happen to know some psychology knowledge. I can teach you. Or advices, oh, I don't know much about psychology, but I know there's great courses on the Tsinghua MOOC platform. Why don't you go there to learn psychology by yourself? Or, oh, I'm not losing weight, but I know some advices in losing weight, or I know some apps that can help you to lose weight. Or I don't have much money, but I heard that there's great books on how to make money, etc. Or the third one, emotional support. Yeah, I know losing weight is tough, and I'm with you. I'd like to support you in losing weight. Yeah. Or you want to, for example, you want to learn psychology. Yes, I want to learn psychology too. Why don't we team up together? Yeah, this is emotional support. So there are not just, direct help is help. All kinds of help is help. So just try to help other people in any way you can think of. And one important thing is you have to leave your email address to each other to follow up. It cannot be like, okay, yeah, I know a great, fitness coach. He can definitely help you lose weight. But after this group is ended, then you never meet each other. And then how can you give this suggestion to this person? So leave your email address to each other so that you can follow up with each other to help each other. All right, so it's 8:14. So can TA help me to divide people into different groups for 6 minutes? We don't. Well, let's do more time. Let's say 8 minutes. So each person can have 2 minutes. All right, and let's start, and we can come back on 8 minutes later. Thank you.